Thank you. All right, so I actually have an intro slide about myself at some point, but she just gave that slide for me, so I might just let her do the rest of my talk if that's okay. Yeah, so like Caitlin said, my name is Ryan. I am a postdoc at WashU right now, so not too far down the road from you guys. Just so you guys know, after I'm done, you're welcome to come up and look at anything I've got up here. I've got a couple of meteorites you can touch and hold if you want. If you take them, I'll come hunt you down, but they are up here, so we got lots of cool pictures and other various things, and I'll talk about some of it throughout my talk. So I'll just go ahead and get started. So I usually like to tell people when I'm introducing myself that every little kid wants to be an astronaut, but I never outgrew it. So that's kind of my story. That's why I'm doing what I do now. I really love space travel, exploration, everything like that. So ultimately, I'd love to be an astronaut one day. In the meantime, I study the moon, and I very much enjoy it. So this is kind of exactly what Caitlin just told you. I wasn't sure how much you guys would know about me, but I am a postdoc at WashU, so I did my PhD there. How many of you guys knew that WashU had an Earth and planetary science, like really good program? Not many? Yeah. We actually have the second largest collection of Apollo moon samples next to NASA. So lots of cool things there. We're always open to giving people tours of our department. We have a model of a Mars rover, if anybody's interested in seeing something like that. We have a lot of really cool things. So if you're interested in something like that, just get a hold of me. I'm happy to organize. We have several people who work on the mission that just got to Pluto. How many of you guys saw that on TV? Yeah, so we have a lot of people who are working on that right now. We have people who are driving the rovers on Mars. We also have people that are studying the moon, like me, as well as other things more focused to Earth. So again, yeah, I did my bachelor's degrees in Florida, so I got 2 degrees, physics and space science. While I was there, I lived an hour away from Kennedy Space Center, so I did 2 of my internships out there, studying the effects of rocket exhaust on the moon. At the time, we were planning to go back to the moon, so I was doing a lot of work with that. That was put on hold, but my work kind of continued, so that was exciting. And then the summer before I moved out here, I worked on a proposed mission to go bring samples back from the moon. It has not flown, it's being reproposed, but that was also a really exciting time. I did that out in California. We designed a camera that would go in orbit around the moon for the mission. And then now I am on the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter camera team. How many of you guys have heard of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter? There's just a few people. All right, the husband doesn't count. He hears me talk about it all the time. And I'll talk about that here in a minute, but before I kind of get into the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, I want to talk about why we would even consider sending humans to space, because that's kind of ultimately where this talk will go. So there's a lot of reasons. First off, we have a lot of unanswered scientific questions in space about how our planets formed, how they evolve. I could spend an entire talk just talking about that. Also resource harvesting. There's a lot that we can actually get from the surface of these planetary bodies. We can mine them for different minerals and resources. We can also create fuel in space, which I'll talk a little bit about later. Humans are way more efficient than robots. Some of these things you've seen the Mars rovers do, humans could have done in a fraction of the time. While these robotic missions are great and they really tell us a lot, humans are just way better at doing science and exploration. We can develop technologies. A lot of the products we have today, for example, tennis shoes, those kind of things were developed by NASA for the space program. So there's a lot of new technologies that are developed by sending humans to space. We can also build permanent or semi-permanent architecture, so we can learn to live in space for longer periods of time, to find out if we're alone. So this is a big question. Is there other life out there? We might not find out till we go out and look for it. And then finally, just exploration. So exploration is really ingrained in who we are as human beings. How many of you guys have gone out and explored a forest or your backyard or anything? I mean, I know I have. That's one reason I'm really interested in space exploration. I mean, we have people like Christopher Columbus, who set out to find new trade routes to China and instead discovered the Americas. Lewis and Clark, who set out to map the western portion of the United States. They discovered 200 new plants and 72 new Indian tribes. And then Ferdinand Magellan, who circumnavigated the globe. So these people set out to explore, but along the way they made really important discoveries that have shaped us as human beings. And so this brings me to astronaut explorers. These people do the same things. They go, they're brave, they go to these places that we haven't been, and they bring us back samples or other scientific discoveries. So that's why I want to talk to you about the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter.